The way Luke speaks to Anakin Vader, he speaks to the highest version of him, innit? He's not like speaking to him as Darth Vader.
I'll not leave you here. I've got to save you.
You already have.
He's speaking to the pureness in him. He's like, Father, like, I know there's still good in you. It's Luke's pureness is what reawakens it for him.
Anakin's trying to save Padme. At what cost? And that's one of my favorite questions that Star Wars gives me is like, at what cost do you want what you think you want? Yes, people are gonna die. Because of how badly he wants that to not be true, he gets manipulated. And how often are we manipulated? Advertising manipulates us all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, we know you wanna look young. We know you wanna look cool.
But listen. The headband's now on, so it's action time.
Maybe it would help me if I had mine on. Alright, fuck it. We're too late now, I ain't getting up.
We're all set wide up.
I'll hold this for comfort.
Last time we just jumped straight in. We didn't really do a little recap of what's been going on for us.
We had something important to talk about.
We did.
Which was Mortal Kombat. It's always important.
It is. I can testify to that. However, it's also important to talk about what we've been up to, because we've been up to some cool stuff.
You go first, because I've had a lot going on and I need a minute.
I was chilling quite a lot. Like, I didn't really, like, purposely didn't want to be doing any work, didn't want to like be engaged in like social media and stuff like that. I was purposely like taking myself out, unplugging from the matrix, so to speak. And just like doing a lot of nothing. And it was really cool, man. It was really refreshing. And I noticed that like usually when I do that, it's like you get like the bouncy leg, like, okay, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What's next? What's next? Am I being productive enough? Like all of that sort of stuff going on. But this time around, it was kind of, I don't know, man. It just felt different. It just felt like, yeah, chilling is actually all right. I don't have to be doing anything. Like, I was like watching TV and movies and like playing on my Switch and stuff like that, but I wasn't really like, you know, being what society would probably deem as productive. It was just like chilling. And I really got a lot from it, man. I got a lot from like, sometimes the best thing you can do is nothing, innit? Nothing, maybe not nothing, but like nothing specific. Whereas sometimes I feel like I can get caught up in the specifics of bouncy leg, what can I do? What can I do? What's on my to-do list? Like the rat race kind of feeling, rather than just like, actually, man, I just chill, right? And just, it's fine to do nothing. It's fine to just relax and not move from the sofa sometimes throughout the day. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and I really got that from, I'm not gonna live every day like that, obviously, but like, I think there's a balance for me to find between having that element of the chilling life alongside the work life, and them seamlessly, like, I don't know, symbiotically living together. Shout out Venom.
We are Venom.
I was about to say, you don't pick up Venom to make that point.
Yeah, I would, but I'm all cabled up and he's all the way over there, so it's a bit long, innit?
Bro, do you know what's funny? Saying all of that, I had quite an interesting experience, I don't normally like Christmas. I actually fucking hated it for years. I just got so annoyed with it. Everything's closed, can't go out and do whatever I want. People are taking time off. I want to do things, I want to get stuff done, and everyone's like, oh no, we're not doing anything. And then like, yeah, I just used to get annoyed with it. So I'd try and pack out my diary with as much things to do as possible. And this year I made a big commitment to enjoying Christmas. And I did. It was fucking great. Except I found it really hard to switch off. I like being active. I like doing a lot. And that's my comfort zone, right? Like being on for like 12 hours a day. That's my comfort zone. I didn't have any PlayStation because I left it here. I didn't have shit to do except play with the dogs, and they get tired after a bit. Watch movies, and I got tired after a bit. And eat food, and I get full up.
And tired after a bit.
Especially Indian food.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an interesting period of time, man. Like I had a few phone calls with a few clients, and it's funny how like I used to view work as something to avoid, not coaching work, but previously before I did any of this, and now it's something that's like I really look forward to. Like I looked forward to getting back into the swing of things. I looked forward to like coming back here, setting up appointments, everything like that. Then I started getting headaches, which I'm also experiencing right now. And it's not been fun. But something I'm learning from this is like, I feel like I've got an inbuilt mechanism in my head that's like, you'll get headaches if you're like really too much in the doing. And if you're trying to stay in the doing, you're gonna get headaches.
Yeah.
And so like yesterday, the day before that, it just kept coming, and I've been sitting there like, oh, for fuck's sake, trying to do something about it. And yeah, even now it still hurts, but like I'm starting to get something from it. Like being grateful for headaches is something that I never thought was possible. This all started in 2015.
What, the headaches?
No, 2013. Yeah.
Yeah.
The headaches started then. Or maybe 2012. I don't know. It's been a while. It's been like over 10 years. But it's funny because in the past, they would come around in periods of like high stress. Now I don't really get stressed. I feel like they're coming around in periods of high doing.
Yeah.
And it's like constant, and like it's like the engine of a car is overheating.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. I'm just guessing, but it feels true.
Sounds it like, because I can definitely resonate with that when I get headaches and stuff. And it's funny because we were talking actually after we recorded the last episode about relaxing and like learning about relaxing, and I was saying like, I feel like sometimes I make relaxing like a doing thing. Like to relax, I need to, you know, lay on the sofa or lie down or play PlayStation or chill and watch a movie or go for a walk. But I think there's something more powerful in there in terms of like doing things, everything in a relaxed way. Like being relaxed whilst doing anything seems like, to me, like that seems like the sweet point, innit? That seems like, that makes the most sense. But like, I guess getting to that point and finding that balance of like doing everything in a relaxed way, being relaxed while doing anything, is the golden nugget. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's like, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that happens where it's like, we can just focus on like, okay, you were saying before, I've got a headache, I don't know what to do. Maybe there's nothing to do, innit? Like, just, that's it.
Sometimes the hardest thing to do is nothing, because you want to do something about it. Like even now, I want to do something about it, but it's like, can I have a headache and be relaxed?
Well, the other thing is, this reminds me, like I had this this conversation with our mentor Keith a while ago, and it was one of these days where I just woke up and I was just, you know, when you're just tired and you don't feel like on it, you don't feel sharp, you don't feel like you've got energy, you just feel tight and everything's an effort. And I remember I had like a call in the morning that day, and it was like, it felt like a bit of a slog. You know, when you're like, you're there on the call, but it just feels like I could sense that I was off. And then I went downstairs for lunch. I was living with my mum and dad at the time. I went downstairs for lunch and I had lunch with my mum. And normally like me and my mum would take the dog out for a walk after. And she was like, oh, you wanna come, we're gonna go for a walk after with Dougie. And I was like, I don't know if I can be bothered. She was like, why? Oh, it'll be good for you. Like, I was like, I'm just a bit tired, innit? And like, I just feel a bit flat. She was like, oh, I'll come for a walk, you know, it'd be good for you, give you some energy and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, all right, let me think about it. So we ate our lunch, finished lunch, and mum goes, you gonna come for a walk then? And I said, do you know what? Nah, I don't feel like it. I've got a call at 3 o'clock. It was about 2 o'clock. I was like, I'm just gonna stay here. So my mum took the dog out for a walk, and I think it was like end of the summer, so it was still quite nice outside. So I just lay down on the, we've got like a little sofa like this, an L-shaped sofa, not sofa, but like outdoor seating thing. And I just lay down on it flat and just closed my eyes for like about 35 minutes, set an alarm. And I just lay there like this with my eyes closed. And I wasn't asleep, but I wasn't like not asleep, if that makes sense. I was sort of in that sort of like middle like area. And then my alarm went off and I got up and I just felt so much more fresh. And I was telling Keith this story and I was like, I felt like, we were talking about productivity, and then I told him this story and he goes, well, it sounds like you did the most productive thing. I said, but it didn't feel very productive. I was lying down doing nothing. Like, surely it's more productive to go out and get a walk in, like stretch my legs, like blah, blah, blah. And he said, no, the most productive thing you did was listen to your wisdom. your wisdom was saying, lie down for a bit. And you listen to that. So that's the most productive thing you could have done. And I was like, oh, yeah, when you put it like that, when you think of it from that perspective, it's actually pretty like, there's something really in that. Like the most productive thing you can do is listen to what's your body saying, what's your intuition saying, what's your wisdom saying, like what's it saying, rather than us trying to be like, oh yeah, no, but I need to do this and like, do you know what I mean? We like try and add stuff to it, and most of the time we don't have to.
Yeah, I've definitely been doing that a lot. It's a nice segue into Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Like, what did it say? Search your feelings. You know this to be true or whatever. If I search my feelings right now, I think it's just telling me I'm tired.
Yeah.
And I resist being tired a lot. There's this fucking, there's this, I think it was Shannon Briggs, you know that, isn't it, the boxer?
Let's go, champ.
Yeah.
Let's go, champ!
No, I can't remember if it was him or someone else. They were running through Philadelphia or somewhere, they were running through a city, and someone goes to him, aren't you tired? He goes, I don't get tired. And I just used to run with that. I used to love that so much. But like my knee problem, the headaches, I think it's telling me like, relax, search your feelings, you know that you're tired in it. And in Star Wars, I was watching episode 1, 2, and 3. The autopilot thing was sick. That was a great moment. But in Clone Wars, when Jango Fett and his kid are like in the little clone facility thing, his son is like really skeptical of the Jedi, right? And his dad's like, but to me it said like, when we're kids, we're innocent and we can feel what's going on. You know, like before I understood a lot of language, I knew a lot of the people around me weren't good. Like they didn't have good intentions for us, innit? And it's funny because like I was listening to a podcast recently and they were interviewing kids for some reason. I can't remember about, okay, I don't even want to get into what it was about because it's about something irrelevant. And the children are like, they make observations and to them the observations are true. They don't analyze them, they don't make judgments, it's just observations. So like, let's say they see like 3 men walking down the road in black jackets and like looking a bit shifty. They might say, those 3 men are doing something bad. Whereas we'll look at it and be like, oh, we'll try not to judge, we'll try not to analyze, we'll probably do an analysis, oh, they're probably going here, whatever. And it's like, at the purest essence of who we are, there's a lot of observation and like there's no confusion between like feelings and reality. I think like kids have got a real handle on, sometimes, not all the time, but a real handle on reality. And that's something I got from, I don't know how I got that from Star Wars, but I was watching it, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that because it's true. When you observe, like I've got young cousins, like one's 4, one's 7, and the other one's 10. So they're all like fairly young. Like obviously you can see the difference between like the 10-year-old and the 4-year-old, but like you can see that they're so much more wiser than their years are, if that makes sense. Like the 10-year-old is like, he's so mature for a 10-year-old because he's just so switched on to certain things. So is the 7-year-old, he's so switched on to certain things, more so than us. And it really, like, when I hang out with them, it's really funny because I really get like that. They've got the childlike innocence, but also the maturity of the wisdom as well. And it's like, I've always kind of taken that as like a, I don't know, like a whatever when it comes to kids. You just think, oh yeah, they're just kids. But when you actually like observe and listen to the things they say and like see how they're observing certain situations, certain things, like they come out with gold, man, like real gold. I'm trying to think of anything specific over Christmas, but I can't. But they're just smart, do you know what I mean? And it's not an intelligence of the intellect. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's something more than that.
Yeah, it's not intellectual smart. Intellectual smart is cool, man. Like we use it a lot, but it ain't got shit on wisdom. And you know, like, what's really funny is like the intellect is a great tool, but bro, like you don't use your iPhone to eat your cereal.
Oh, really? I want to know.
It's one of my favorite examples of inappropriate uses of tools. So like when I'm stuck in my intellect, I'm using my iPhone to eat my cereal, getting frustrated with why isn't the tool working properly. And I think kids would look at us like, you don't need to fucking chill.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? Like, you look at like, you look at like, I don't know, a parent of a child, right? They'll be running around the house, like, we need to get this, we need to do that, we need to make sure that we've got food for when we go on the thing. Have we all got our drinks? Have we got our water? Have we got all the stuff? Have we got the jackets? Have we got the bag of, you know, nappies and da-da-da-da? And the kid's just like, yeah, come on, man, I'm ready to go, let's roll. Like, well, you don't need all this stuff. Like, yeah, it's good to have, don't get me wrong, but it's like, there's like two, I was going to say opposing factors, but I don't think they're opposing. I think they're
Complementary.
Yeah, complementary factors. Is like the intellect stuff, okay, like the preparation, the doing, and then the child is just like the being. Like, come on, man, let's just go. Like, if we need water, we'll figure it out. Like, I'm not thinking about if I need water or food or a nappy change right now, because I don't need it right now in this moment. When I need it, then I'll address it. Like, that's kind of where they're coming at from it. Whereas the parent is like the other side. They're like, oh, let's get all the stuff and let's like, and it's like, I do it all the time, man. It's like, sometimes I get so caught in the doing of like, oh yeah, like the intellect, like over analysis, and have I got this? Is that prepared? Have we got everything set how I want it to be set? And other times it's just like, just be in it, and it's like they're very complementary. And yeah, like I think there's a lot of that in Star Wars, like pointing at that with like the Jedi children and like the Force, and you just see it in the way. And this is what I love about the way the Jedi talk about the Force. It's like they're really telling us something in it. Like they say, like, search your feelings, but don't buy into the feeling. You know, what's your feeling telling you? But don't take that as truth. Because if you start to take those feelings as truth, like the whole journey with Anakin is like, I sense much fear in him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like that fear leads to anger, the anger leads to hate, the hate leads to the dark side, suffering leads to the dark side, or whatever they say. And it's like, you can see how that happens and how that manifests in how it's manifested in my life before. It's like I'm allowing a certain feeling to dictate me, where I'm at, what I'm doing, how I'm observing the world, how I'm approaching situations, rather than just seeing it as like, what's the feeling telling me? The feeling's telling me that there's something, you know, I don't know, out of balance, or something that maybe it's just my perception of something. It's not the objective reality. It's a subjective reality from me. And it's crazy, because I can't remember who I was talking to about this the other day, but I was like, all right, the storytelling in Star Wars isn't the best at times. However, look at what it's teaching us. Look at the lessons it's teaching us. We're all connected by the Force. You can sense things before they've happened. You know, you can, your feelings are just feelings, that's it. If you buy into them, it could lead you down a stray path, you know? You could end up being like Darth Vader. Eventually.
Well, here's my thing with that is, right, like, let's relate it to what we do, coaching. A lot of people start out like Anakin. They want to save the world. They want to, you know, they want to change the world, and they want to help people, right? But what often ends up happening is that instead of saving the world, you can't change the world if you're going to continue to be the way it is. So like, a lot of people start off like, you know, young, whimsical, like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to help people. And then fast forward a little bit, when the business side of it kicks in, they start falling into the marketing trap. Or they start falling into the trap of like, I've got to make money from this, so I'm not going to help people for free. I'll only help people if I'm being paid to do it. And it's kind of like what fucking Obi-Wan says to Anakin. He's like, you're supposed to bring balance to the Force, not fucking become the Sith.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them! Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness!
What's wrong with you? And there's no, I'm not saying it to tell anyone off or to be rude or to judge anyone. It's an observation I've made in myself. You know, like I've gone from I want to help people to I've got a business, I have to take care of these things, then I'll help people. It's like, you know, Anakin's trying to save Padme at what cost? That's one of my favorite questions that Star Wars gives me, is like, at what cost do you want what you think you want? You know, like, yes, people are gonna die, but you know, because of how badly he wants that to not be true, he gets manipulated. And how often are we manipulated? Like, fucking advertising manipulates us all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, we know you want to look young. We know you want to look cool. We know you want to have this kind of body. Or, you know, we know that you want to have women like you. So we're going to manipulate the shit out of you. And it's fucked. Like, if you really consider, what am I buying into? The feeling that I'm buying into when I purchase items is... it's telling us a lot. I'm creating a when in my life. When I have this thing, I'll feel like this and it'll be better than it is now. When is one of the most dangerous things we can do to ourselves.
Yeah. And it's so true. And it's also like, look how the when is created. So like in with Anakin, for example, the Padme thing, he had a dream and he's like, I saw her die. And now he's like, that's the truth. That's definitely going to be happening. And then he creates, like, that's the when. That's now the when. When she dies, according to this thought that I had, this dream that I had, then it's going to be bad. So I'm going to do everything I can to try and avoid that. And it basically messes him up because he buys into this story that he's created for himself. And it's like the same thing happens in advertising that you said. The when is like, okay, when I look like that, then I will feel happy, then I will be better, then my life will be, you know, I don't know, more rosy or whatever. And people like do all this stuff and like just like, again, I've done it as well, man. It's like just messed up stuff, like my way of being, because I'm chasing a when, like I'm chasing a reference point in time which doesn't even exist.
That's the thing.
And then I make it exist. I make it become a reality.
When we're making a point in reality that isn't even like, it doesn't exist right now, but we're using it as like a reference point to dictate how we should behave right now. And it's really funny, like in Star Wars, Anakin's got a when, Obi-Wan's got a when, Count Dooku's got a when, Palpatine's got a when, and they're all different. Everyone's trying to get to their own when. And what I find funny about Palpatine is like, at what cost, right? He doesn't give a fuck about anyone. All he wants is like, all right, cool, I'm here to get mine. And he's manipulating everyone. And he says to Anakin, like, you know, I'll help you save the one you love, and together we can unlock the mysteries of the Force. And it's like, that's how low he's willing to stoop, because to him it's not low, according to his when. According to, it's just a means to an end, because the when is the most important thing for him. And I can relate to this a lot, man. I've used this when and manipulating people to get what I want with women for ages. Like, I used to think, when this girl likes me, or when we sleep together, or when we go out on a date or whatever, then I'll feel like this about myself compared to feeling like this about myself. And the when justified lying, it justified like there's all kinds of stupid behavior. And it's funny now looking back at it, like, I would never do that again. But I think you need to go through it. It's not something that I'm going to tell, oh no, I'm ashamed of it. I'm not. It's just good. It's part of the process, part of learning.
It's good to catch it as well. Like, and it's like, I've seen it with myself. When I was working in advertising, my when was like, when I have the perfect career, the perfect job, then I'll be, you know, happy, then my life will be great. And it was like, until I had the when, it was like, well, I'm gonna be miserable. And I basically lived my life like for years, like miserable, because I wasn't at the when. And then when I got to what was a perceived when, I didn't feel any different. The feelings were the same. I still felt miserable, still didn't feel satisfied, didn't feel complete, felt like there was still something missing, there was a piece missing. And it wasn't until I started to see that, like, actually the experience of when, like the feeling that I want from the when can be experienced like now. I can create that feeling within myself. It exists within me. Man, I just live with that. And then it's like, then all of the stuff, like, you know, podcast, coaching business, like started to come from that. It wasn't like, okay, let me set up a podcast, let me have a coaching business, and then I'll be, you know, happy, or then I'll have the life that I want. It's like that stuff's actually come out of the living from a place of when, but in the now. That sounds really confusing, but.
Yeah, it's like any feeling that we want, we can access it now. It's not like, it's not in the when, it's not in the circumstances. Which is quite funny, man, because look at fucking more of the Star Wars story, right? When Darth Vader has a change of heart, it's not because, like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. He's got to the when, he's got to the point in time where he's like, oh, what have I done, blah, blah. But like he's at the point where he can access the feelings of, I know that this is wrong, or like I know I'm in the feeling of what's right, and it's not like he doesn't have to put it into another when. Oh, like once I've killed Palpatine, then I'll help you. It's like, oh, actually, do you know what? Like, I can be there right now with you. And this is funny because like you see changes of heart very often, but I haven't given myself to have changes of heart out of ego. Oh, I've been doing this for so long, I don't want to now do this. And with Star Wars, what I love about Anakin and Darth Vader's little like switcheroo, it's all like, it's pretty much instant. He's gone from like, I'm gonna kill you, to like, oh fuck, what have I done?
Yeah.
And I like that. There's very little ego in it.
But here's the thing. I love that because that's episode 6, isn't it? I love that because like the way Luke speaks to Anakin, Vader, whatever you want to call him, like he speaks to the highest version of him, innit? He's not like speaking to him as Darth Vader. He's speaking to the pureness in him. He's like, oh Father, like I know there's still good in you. Like he's like being dragged to Palpatine. He's like, you don't have to do this. I know there's still good in you. Like you don't have to live your life this way. Maybe doesn't say those exact words, but that's what he's saying to him. And Vader's like, nah, shut up. Like, what are you talking about? And then when it gets to that scene where Vader, Palpatine's like beating up Luke, whatever, and Vader helps him, saves him essentially. It's like, it's Luke's pureness in speaking to the pureness in Vader is what reawakens it for him. And then he's like, oh yeah, like maybe I don't have to live my life like this. There was a time where I was that kid in episode 1, episode 2, that we then see in the prequels, where he did have that innocence and he had that pureness about him, and he's like reconnected to that. And then it's like, I think, I can't remember the exact part of the movie. I think it's right at the end where the ship's like going down and blowing up, whatever. And Luke's like, come on, let me get you on the ship to save you. And he says, take off the mask. I want to see you with my own eyes. And he goes, you don't need to save me. You've already saved me.
Go, my son. Leave me.
No, you're coming with me. I'll not leave you here. I've got to save you.
You already have. Look.
And it's like, you've woken me back up to who I am, and not like the whenness, you know? I'm not Darth Vader anymore, because I'm not buying into like, okay, I need to have all this power and this is gonna complete me, this means something about me. It's just like, he's reminded him of the pureness that's inside of him. And then from that, he's like, yeah, like it's always been there. I don't need anything else. Like, I'm pure. Like, you've saved me. And there's so, like, that is amazing, man. Like, the way that they tell that story in those, like, I think it's the last episode 5 and 6. Oh man, it's sick. I actually brought a tear to my eye when I was watching it a couple months ago. I was like, whoa, that's powerful, man. Because it's the same thing. Like, if I could speak to myself in that way, speaking to the pureness in me back when I was chasing the winds, imagine the impact that could have had on me then. I mean, it has over time, but it's the same for like, what we do. It's like when we speak to people, when we're working with clients, speaking to potential clients, like I want to speak to the highest version of someone, because if I can wake them up to that purest version of them, the highest version of them, whatever you want to call it, how powerful could that be? It doesn't have anything to do with whether they pay me for coaching or whether they come and work with me or whether they come and do something that I'm doing. Like, it's not about that. Imagine the impact they can have on them and the people in their life and their life. Like, that's the real beauty in it, and that's available to anyone. Imagine everyone spoke to the highest version, the purest version of everyone that they came across in life. How different would the world be?
It requires us looking for it.
Yeah.
So I was gonna meet someone the last 2 days, and they didn't honor their commitment to our plans. And the funny thing is, in the past I would have been like, fuck this person, I'm pissed off. I was annoyed with myself instead. But looking for the highest version in them, it's like, they're following their wisdom. Maybe this is not a good idea for them right now. Maybe it's too much. It's like going from 0 to 1,000,000, and I think looking for the highest version in anyone that I speak to, anyone in my life, like people at the gym, people at the grocery store, fucking you, my mom and dad, the dogs, anyone, it's been a real gift for me. And it's not like trying to see people in a positive way. It is literally just looking for the highest version of them, the pure, the wisdom in them. Like, how is this person following what's best for them? And take myself out of it. I noticed this. I got caught up in my small little world. And then I was looking at other people doing it. I was like, oh, you're caught up in your small little world. Yeah, I am too. And when I am, it's not a bad thing. It's just like looking for the highest version of me in that point. It's like, okay, yes, I'm caught up in my small little world. I watched Avatar yesterday, which we'll talk about when you've watched it. And it just, like, even I got this from watching the first one. It helps you zoom out and not look at your tiny little world, but the interconnected world that everyone's living in. It's beautiful, man. And I had a really good insight into that yesterday when I was walking back from Westfield. I was just like, wow, I have been just like this. In my little world, I'm just here, that's it. And it's hard to see the highest version of someone else when you're stuck in your small little world.
Yeah, because it becomes limiting, doesn't it? Because you're just seeing things in accordance to that parameter that you've set for yourself. And it's funny because it's like, we were having this conversation the other day, I think, about judgment. It's like when you judge someone, you're not really judging them. It's a judgment you have of yourself, or an expectation that you have of yourself. So for example, if I judge someone for smoking, I'm not really judging that person for smoking, but I know that I would be judging myself for smoking. If that makes sense. It's like I have an expectation of I don't smoke, therefore when I see someone else doing it, I judge them for it, but it's only because I'm really judging my own expectation of myself. It's got nothing really to do with the other person. And that's like that's like being in your own small little world, isn't it? It's like you're just seeing things based on your own expectations or your own, I don't know, judgments of things. But when you zoom out, it's like, okay, well, yeah, you can start to see, okay, what's the highest version of this person that I can see? Okay, they might be smoking, and what else? It is quite, yeah. And that's the sick thing, man, about that. Like, you see it in so many situations, how like people can wake up to that highest version of themselves when you speak to it. But yeah, man, I think there's so much interesting stuff in the Star Wars. I'm trying to think if there's any characters in it that are, I guess the Jedi is really, like, you look at Yoda, for example, he's like the ultimate image of like being your higher self. He's not really like ever too distressed about stuff. He has concerns and worries, but he's always just like, yeah, like, I'm pretty
He's
chill.
like Keith.
Yeah, like our mentor Keith. He doesn't speak as funny as him, but and you see it, man. And this is why, Yoda's like, even in that, right? Look how respected Yoda is as a character. Just forget about like the deep lessons and the learnings. Like, Yoda is like a all-time highly recognizable character because of the way he is. It's not necessarily the things that he does. It says, but because of how he is, the wise master, like doesn't really get like overly worried, bothered, stressed, concerned about stuff. Always speaking to the highest version of people. When he's training Luke in the whatever episode it is, 5 I think it is.
Much later.
Camera malfunction aside,
We're really gonna have to wrap this one quick then.
so we were talking about Yoda is like Keith. He's always speaking to the highest version of everyone, and he's upholding the balance of the Force, right? He can sense where there's like bad stuff going on. He can see who's like, oh, I sense much fear in you and all that. And he's not judging.
Yeah.
That's the superpower. If anything, if Star Wars is teaching me anything, it's that fear is going to be your greatest downfall if you buy into it, and not judging people and speaking to their highest version is going to be what like creates the most epic magical changes you want to experience. And I think what a way to wrap it up.
Yeah. Wrap that up and put it under your Christmas tree in 2023.
Yeah, this is a shorter episode because I've still got a headache. So.
He's got a headache. The camera's got a headache.
Yes, I feel you pain, bro.
Funny how you've got the headache and your camera's the one that's
That's funny.
that's gone out.
Shit.
The Force is strong with that one.
I probably do have control over technology, even though I don't want to learn how to use it. Anyway, here's an invitation for everyone. Why don't you watch Star Wars again and see what you've taken from it and put it in the comment section. We'd love, or DM us on Instagram. I'd love to hear what you get from watching it, because it's not just this is the only interpretation. Everyone's going to get something different from it, and we'd love to hear what you get from it.
Yeah, and that's the whole point why we do this. Like, these are just our interpretations of the things that we've been watching or checking out. Like, there's so many different ways you can view stuff. So come and let us know what your learnings are, because we're here for it.
Yeah. See you in the next episode. Peace.